Hello.
Hello, is that the legendary Terri Fox?
It certainly is. Hello.
Hello, this is Lee from Heartfm. How are you doing?
I'm fine, Lee. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very good. Thanks for taking the time out to have a chat with me. It's been a while since we've spoken. I don't know if you remember.
I do. It was when you're older, wasn't it?
It was indeed, yes.
Quite a few years ago, that now.
I know.
I just moved here from Benidorm.
It was total chaos, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
it was total chaos. Things don't really change, though.
Now, you're very busy at the moment over here, aren't you, in Spain?
Very. Well, not overly busy because obviously the present climate, there's not that many cabaret bars left at the moment. So at the moment I'm doing 3 days a week. It isn't that good, but it's not bad, put it that way. Keeps the wolf from the door, they're saying. Keeps me in Cristal champagne, so that's not too bad.
That'll do. Now, your show, if I remember correctly from the last time we chatted, is something a little bit different to a lot of the artists' shows because you do actually create some of the most incredible characters, but you actually sing live and all the rest of it as well, don't you?
Yes, it's totally live, totally live. We've just recorded our 3rd album, and my last 2 albums over here were the biggest selling albums on the Costa del Sol. So that's quite a little nice feather in my cap. But everything is totally live, totally live. We don't really do the Ladies of Legend show that much anymore. We're basing more on the stand-up comedy. At the moment, we're doing like a 2.5-hour stand-up comedy routine, which is extremely controversial and extremely blue. To put it that way.
So it's slightly adult orientated then.
It is adult orientated. The only thing is that it took me a long time to get used to working in venues where there were kids in the venue, because when I was a kid and we went on holiday, you went to bed while your parents sat and watched the show. But nowadays they tend to have kids in the place at 1:30 and 3 o'clock in the morning, and there's not much you can do about it. So, and I don't make any exceptions for children being in the room. If they've got children up at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, well, that's tough.
Yeah, well, to a certain extent. I mean, if you go to that sort of show, you've got to expect that sort of thing. I mean, that's where you go, isn't it?
Exactly. And I mean, I have been described as a very glamorous version of Chubby Brown and Bird and Manning in sequins, to put it mildly.
That's a nice way of putting it. I like that.
Yeah. We've just released a live stand-up album, which I've never done before, for fear of being in prison after it goes out. So this is the first for me, but it's just flying out at the moment. It's absolutely unbelievable. It's completely uncensored as well, so it's worse than I actually do on stage.
Oh right, I don't know whether I would like to hear it. It might turn me on. And you still do the singing as well, though, don't you?
Yes, I do. Yeah. We always do, and even in the stand-up shows, we tend to throw 1 or 2 impersonations in, and we tend to open with a song and close with a couple of songs that I'm known for. I tend to do nothing modern, nothing too modern. I'm an old lady now.
Now I don't know whether it was last night or whether it's tonight. You're appearing with a girl called Sophie.
That was last night. She did my warm-up for me last night. She's very, very good. And
she's
she was on your radio show, wasn't she, the other day?
She was, that actual day. She's a complete nut, a nightmare.
Yeah, totally.
Drives me bonkers.
She's young, love. She's young. I think they're allowed to be when they're young. So I wasn't actually saying when I'm young. Man, I'm not saying now, so I don't think anybody in show business is saying. But she asked me last night for some... She said, "Can you give me some advice on the business?" I said, "Yeah, get a proper job."
My mum's been telling me to do that for years.
Yeah.
Now, when you first started on the circuit, I mean, I guess it was back in the UK. Yeah. Things must have been terribly different.
Oh, totally different. I mean, this Christmas I'll be celebrating 33 years in show business, and it was very, very, very different than I worked. I mean, I first started out, I won a talent competition in a nightclub in Manchester, which led on to a contract and a touring show for the female impersonators, which happened in those days, which doesn't exist anymore. And then I went on to work in the working men's clubs and the social clubs all across the north of England and the south of England, eventually going into my own West End show and then tours of America, tours back in the UK, theatre shows. So it gradually built up, but it was a very, very different day and age when I first started. I mean, when I first started out on the stage, there was 4 acts a night in every single working men's club going. You know, I can remember being not top of the bill, but middle of the bill when Jane McDonald's was working behind a bar.
Wow.
So that shows how old I am.
Do you find, I mean, I guess you still go back to the UK. Do you find that there is still work available
No, I don't go back to the UK. I've lived here almost 10 years, and I've only been back to the UK 4 or 5 times for 2 weddings and my daughter's birthday with 3 of them. That's about it. I don't go back. There's nothing to go back for. The cabaret industry in the UK just doesn't exist. It doesn't exist unless you're working for a minority. And I don't mean this disrespectfully, but if you're working in gay venues, that's different. That's something I've never done. My act is not an act that gay people really appreciate because it's not that sort of humour.
Yeah.
So no, I don't go back. There's nothing there to offer. The sad thing is that the young people don't want cabaret. They go to nightclubs. So it's a dying thing, and it's just died over there completely.
That was something I was going to say. To point out that it's not a gay act. It's a
far from it.
Cabaret show.
Yeah, far from it. I was brought up in the cabaret circuit with very, very famous comedians that I worked with as a support act for many years. I worked for people like Bernard Manning. A great member of my family was a huge star in the north of England. There was a female impersonator called Sue Lamar. And Frank owns one of the biggest straight cabaret nightclubs, but he was in drag. To people like Danny LaRue. So Danny was never a gay and orientated act. The gay people just don't really appreciate what I do. And also, I look so much like a woman, they don't actually swallow that. They want you to look like some big, bizarre, thundering mess running down the stage, miming to hideous songs, which I've never, ever done. So, no, it just doesn't work. I mean, I stand acts like that myself. I can't stand ugly drag acts, and I don't like the term drag act. You're supposed to be a female impersonator impersonating a woman. And if I actually thought that I'd look in any way, shape or form in a derogatory manner to women, I wouldn't do what I do. I take it to the greatest extent so it is believable as basically as a foul-mouthed woman. That's the only way.
Do you think that things like, or acts, should I say, let's put it the proper way, like Lily Savage...
yeah, I know Paul very, very well. Very well.
Do you think that particular character has done a lot for your business?
Yes and no. I mean, Paul's character was an extremely clever parody on... It was based on 3 of his aunts, and it was a very, very parody. Mine is again, nothing remotely like that. I suppose it did an awful lot for the mainstream, but I've always said in each decade you will always receive a female impersonator that will make it into high profile. The only thing I found with Paul, to do television, he had to compromise what he would say on stage live, where I did television for many years and it didn't suit me. I like a live audience and I don't like to be scripted and told you can't say that, you mustn't do this. I'm basically a loose cannon when I go on there and I will not be controlled. So television doesn't do it for me. But I suppose I can see where you're coming from. Yes, I suppose it brought female impersonation to another generation, where in my day it was the likes of Danny LaRue.
Yes.
And I suppose Paul as Lily brought it to an 80s, early 90s generation of people. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, yeah.